Thank you for joining us right here on Personality Check. It's about personalities and their stories. I am Abdullateef Isa. My guest today is a journalist, publisher, and journalism teacher. He is a lecturer at the Department of Mass Communication and Media Technology, Lead City University, Ibadan, Oyo State. Dr. Waheed Bayonle Busari, welcome to Personality Check.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's start from this. How did you decide to pursue a career in academia?
Well, I didn't take a deliberate decision to be in academic from the onset.
Okay.
I was a journalist,
Yes.
and I started practice of journalism in the year 1990.
Yes.
But I got to a point, especially since I worked within the private sector. I got to a point where I had to do a review of myself and where I was then. And I considered it that the profession does not, those of us in the private media practice, the profession doesn't seem to have a second-hand value. I was a title editor.
Okay.
My medium was rested,
Okay.
and I tried to get an appointment with another newspaper house. And what I was offered was far below what I was. And I looked at it that if there was a second-hand value, but I'm not going to get something higher, I should get an equivalent of where I was coming from.
Yes.
So at that point, I took a decision that I probably may have to do a route and then rediscover myself as to what exactly I should do. So I decided to go back to school. So I did the first master program, did another one, and after the second master program, I decided to push for a PhD. And after completing, what came to mind was, what do I do with what I have? So the only answer I could give was to go into academia.
Okay.
And I was encouraged to do that, again, by virtue of the fact that I looked at the present crop of journalists that we have now,
Okay.
and operation within the environment in which they have found themselves. And I came to the conclusion that there's a need for us to give back to society part of what we have learned while we were on the field. Because I must be sincere, I'm not too happy with the way journalism is practiced in Nigeria today.
Okay.
There are a lot of factors that we could probably make an attempt to admit to being responsible. But in spite of that, the individual comes into play. When you don't have a self-esteem, it might be difficult for you to be able to weather the storm within the Nigerian environment.
Okay. Is there any difference between the value and practice of journalism in those days and now?
I think if you do a critical appraisal, the answer obviously would be yes.
Okay.
The value at that time, there were people who came before us
Okay.
that probably we looked up to at that time, and the value at the time was service.
Okay.
The value was, how do you contribute your own quota to the development of the Nigerian society?
Okay.
And at that time, premium was not paid on what you make, what you have. Because at that time, we say probably that life or living was a bit comfortable, was a bit easier. What people pursued at that time was not what we pursue now.
Okay.
Now we have lost our values to the extent that everybody wants to become the same thing, which is not possible. But the environment where we have found ourselves tilts towards everybody want to be the same thing.
Okay. How many years did you spend practicing full-fledged journalism?
Yeah, like I said, I started in 1990, back then in Yola, the old Gongola state, which is now the capital of present-day Adamawa state.
Okay.
And I was on the field for up till, I will still say I'm still on the field,
Yes, yes.
although on the sideline, because now I belong to the League of Veteran Journalists. But I think I was on the field for close to 30 years before, even when I was pursuing my degrees, postgraduate degrees, I was still practicing. I was publishing.
Okay.
I was publishing. So, but since I went to academia, I've kind of, stepped down considerably. So, I mean, I was 5 years in full-time academic engagement, the 2nd of October this year, 2023.
Okay.
But on the sideline I was, but recently, because as you grow old, your energy dwindles unless you want to deceive yourself.
Yes.
Okay, your energy dwindles. But what I do now is I do more of public discourse on radio and television.
Yes. What was the experience like as a journalist?
I will tell you that I quite enjoyed it sincerely. I look back and I'll tell my students that if you actually understand the power that you have as a journalist, if you understand the power, the enormous power that you have, you will not want to do any other profession than being a journalist. Because there's no question you ask your interviewee that he must answer, no matter his position. And I tell my students that no comment is a comment. When you ask someone, do you have comment, and he says no comment, he has commented. And that tells you, the kind of aura, the kind of power that the journalist possesses. But it's like we don't appreciate that. We were like the proverbial cock that does not know the value that the Almighty has placed on its head. So I quite enjoy the fact you discover that you are helping to shape society. I mean, when you look at that agenda setting theory, the press, the media is expected to set the agenda for the discourse in society. So if you look at the import of that theory and you fully understand it, you know that you have enormous power. But today we have allowed people to take the lead from us. We have allowed other people to set the agenda for us. And today, when you look at the media, you discover that the media is discussing discussing what the society is discussing. Not that the society should be discussing what the media is discussing. So that's not the other way around. The society is now the one setting the agenda for the media. We are supposed to be the media that are supposed to set the agenda for society. So it's like we have lost that goal for obvious reasons. We have lost that. But it's not late for us to rediscover ourselves. But we have to make a conscious effort to do that.
Okay, but before going further, was there any way journalism changed your personality?
Yes, of course it does. It does in the sense that, as a journalist, there are certain ways that you are expected to comport yourself.
Okay.
I mean, you don't get yourself engaged in, every mundane issue because people look up to you for their information need. And as the Bible would say, he that people look up to does not go out on sightseeing. You don't have to cheapen yourself. You should be seen as, how do I put it, as a reference point
in the
society. So, that self-comportment, you confer yourself self-respect because you have what society needs. And you should not just go about displaying yourself, carrying yourself anyhow. Otherwise, what they expect from you will not have no value. If someone looks up to you for his information need, you yourself must be a person of value.
Yes.
So in that way, journalism shaped my life because I have to make that conscious effort, confer on myself, that self-respect that will make people to look up to you.
Yes. You already talked about the lost goal. So also I want to ask, the media and communication space is It's fast evolving. Where do you see it in the future?
Yes, I think there's this discourse out there, especially as it concerns the social media. I think because I know that's the point of concern for now. But like every emerging scenario, social media will come, get stabilized, and we'll get to know that we can make the best of it, especially for advancement of the human society, not for a negative purpose. For now, because everybody has become a journalist, by virtue of the fact that you can tweet, you can make posts on Facebook, on Instagram, and whatever. Even those who hire media persons to do media relations for them are now taking it upon themselves to do their media activities by themselves. By virtue of the fact that, yes, and interestingly, when I was on the field, we monitor NTA news, especially at 9. We monitor Radio Nigeria news, especially at 10 p.m., 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. Now, it is the other way around. You hold the newspaper then and you see, according to news monitored on, but today, it's the other way around. It is now the paper that even looking up to the radio for its promotion. Okay?
Yes.
That newspaper houses now are even approaching, some getting to partnership with radio stations to, protect their news and whatever. So, we get to a point where we understand the positive attributes that the social media has and that which we can take advantage of. So in the future, I see us, when we have come to times, when we have had that full understanding, I see in the future that we'll make the best of it. And that's why I won't support the idea that government should regulate the social media space. No. Rather than regulating, because when you regulate, people still find ways around. We had an example when the former president, Waheed Busari, placed a ban on Twitter in Nigeria.
Okay.
People started using their accounts
VPN
from other countries. And it was like nothing happened.
Yes.
So rather than, regulating, we should educate ourselves.
Okay.
That's what we should do on the best way that we can make out of the social media space.
Okay. Online publishing is very rampant nowadays. So we have many blogs publishing news. And the way they capture their headlines and even the stories, the content is somehow. So some you will look at it and you say, this is very unprofessional. Have you also seen these lapses? And is there any way the lapses can be corrected?
Yeah, I've seen a lot. And interestingly, I do take up those who public news dissemination through the social media, those that I have relationship with. I hardly am able to take off my eyes when I see, when you see something, you say something. I hardly am able to take my eye off when I see something that's wrong. Especially, I look at the headline and I look at your content. If there's no relationship, I could draw your attention to it. But why do I have that now? One is because, like I said, everybody has become a journalist. So no formal training. And those who have undergone some kind of training, some other constraints come in that will make them to probably go against the norm.
Okay.
You have news commercialization. If someone brings a news item to you and says you should use this for him and he's going to pay you.
Okay.
There's no way, you can't do any editing. And the person that brought it to you might not be a professional, might not even understand the rudiments of news writing. Or it tells you that what he wants. Unless, of course, you don't want the cash. You ask him to go because if I'm going to carry this, I have to work on it and he insists. So you look at what are you gaining, what are you losing?
Okay.
So that might be a factor. So we need to encourage people And just like I said when I started that, what part of what motivated me to come into academics is things like this.
Okay.
We need to, produce a new crop of media professionals who understand, apart from the altruistic gain, we still see from professional perspective that there must be near perfection. You can't attain perfection, near perfection in what you give out. Because apart from informing, you are still educating people.
Yes.
So people will learn. And if you push out a wrong information, the tendency is for you to miseducate your public.
And the lost goal of agenda setting, how can it be maybe recovered?
It might be a bit pretty difficult for us to say we want to recover that. Because if you have a problem, for you to find a solution, the first thing for you to do is to identify the causative factor. It's only when you're able to identify the causative factor that you can now begin to prefer the remediation. Now, the causative factor that we have today in Nigeria, as we have, you have several media owners who do not pay the employees. Category 1. You have those who pay but are not paying appropriately. Category 2. You have those who pay and those who pay but inappropriately, but they don't pay on time. Category 3. And you have those who don't pay at all. And people have to survive. And on daily basis, the population of journalists keeps growing. So who will absorb them? So people now go into self-publishing. Those who still do, in freelance in advanced societies brings you a lot of income. But it doesn't happen here. And that's why people will be looking for regular jobs. But when you get to where freelance pays, you don't need to look for a regular job. So when you freelance, you are not paid. Even when the regular person is not paid, you see that if freelancing will be paid. No. So these are causative factors that we must first address. It's only when we have done that, then you can now begin to look for remediation or intervention. Until, and unfortunately, media practice, when you check our constitution, is the only profession that is mentioned.
Section 22.
Of all professions, that is the only one that is singled out. And people, they mention the constitution. And unfortunately, it is that one that is mentioned that does not enjoy an enabling environment. Let me put it that way. That does not enjoy an enabling environment. Even those who are government employed, they don't have the freedom. So, I will now say they want to bring back the agenda setting environment that we had in the past. And of course, the patriotism is not in us. When you ask, though it's difficult for us because people will say average Nigerian. Who's an average Nigerian? Ask a Nigerian why he is in Nigeria. I will tell you, just occupy a space. So that patriotism is not there. So when you are not patriotic, anything can happen. It's what the Yoruba will call Gidayefo. No one gives a damn if Nigeria breaks up tomorrow. We don't even think of what is the implication. We're just talking about breaking up. So patriotism is not there. Another causative factor. So if you want to do an intervention, you have to, instill on us patriotism. How do you do that? In view of conflicting situations that stand before a media practitioner. So it's not something that we can't do. But in order for us to be able to do it, we first have to, identify what has led us to where we are and find out if we can reverse them or repair them, and then from there, way forward.
In this your new career, have you faced any challenge?
Yes. I think when we discuss challenge, we can look at it from two perspectives. One the negative perspective and through the positive perspective. If it is negative, I don't think I've been faced with any, in the sense that once you know your limits and you are able to identify and understand what is expected of you, and you make effort to meet that, I don't think you have any challenge negatively.
Okay.
But on the positive side, being in academia keeps you on the toe.
Okay.
You come across students every time, all manner of students, and you discover that even you have those who are your colleagues who are coming as for tutelage under you. So it's not that they don't know, it's not that they want to know more. So you have constantly have to be on your toes that you are not found wanting before your students. So it's a kind of a challenge that you can't rest. You just must keep on, improving yourself. And of course, we learn every day. No one is an island of knowledge. You can't say you know it all. You will learn from our students too. And that's a challenge that you should be able to bring yourself to a level that should be able to learn from the other person that are supposed to be learning from you.
Okay.
I mean, you too has a knowledge that you can tap into, and then you use that to your own advantage.